Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wisdom and Wit, the show that'll make you laugh, cry, and probably question your life choices. I'm Jimmy, and I'm here to warm you up like a cheap microwave dinner. Now, let's dive into the steaming hot mess that is our world today. So, have y'all heard about this fella in New York? 60 years old, probably still rocking a mullet. Decides he's gonna play whack-a-mole with some poor bastard's face just cause he's wearing a Trump hat. I mean, come on. That's like punching someone for wearing a "I love my golden retriever" shirt. We all know golden retrievers are just blonde labs with better PR. But here's the kicker, folks. This ain't just some isolated incident. It's like MAGA hats have become the new Yankee caps in Boston. You wear one, and suddenly everyone thinks you're fair game for a good old-fashioned ass-whooping. It's gotten so bad, even NFL players are getting in on the action. Nick Bosa, that 49ers guy, he flashed a MAGA hat during an interview, and people lost their minds faster than a squirrel on meth. Now, I ain't saying wearing a MAGA hat is smart. That's like walking into a vegan restaurant with a "I heart bacon" tattoo. But beating someone up over it? That's about as useful as trying to put out a forest fire with a squirt gun filled with gasoline. And let me tell you, these liberal folks are getting creative with their punishments. Some California politician wants to trade Bosa just for wearing the hat. Trade him. What's next? We gonna start trading people for their political views? But you know what really grinds my gears? It's this whole debate about freedom of expression versus provocation. It's like trying to decide between your favorite child and your favorite testicle. There's no good answer, and someone's gonna end up crying. Here's the thing, folks. We're living in a time where wearing a hat is considered more dangerous than carrying a loaded weapon into Walmart. And let me tell you, I've seen some things in Walmart that make a MAGA hat look like a halo. But seriously, when did we become so sensitive that a piece of clothing could set us off like a firework in a meth lab? I mean, I get it. Some people see that red hat and their blood pressure rises faster than gas prices under a Democrat. But come on, it's a hat, not a mind-controlled device. Although, if it was, it'd explain a lot about some of the folks wearing them. And don't even get me started on the other side. You got people treating these hats like they're made from the skin of endangered pandas. They see one and suddenly they're ready to go all Rambo on someone's ass. It's like, calm down, Che Guevara. The revolution ain't gonna start at the produce aisle of Piggly Wiggly. But here's the real question, folks. In a country where we can't even agree on whether a hot dog is a sandwich, how the hell are we supposed to agree on something as complex as politics? It's like trying to teach calculus to a goldfish, frustrating, pointless, and likely to end with someone getting flushed. And let's be honest, we're all guilty of judging folks based on what they wear. I see a man in Crocs, I automatically assume he's given up on life. I see a woman with a live, laugh, love tattoo, I know she's got at least 3 ex-husbands and a concerning obsession with wine. But you don't see me drop kicking them in the frozen food section. At the end of the day, folks, we gotta remember that we're all Americans. Whether you're wearing a MAGA hat, a pussy hat, or one of them fancy tinfoil numbers to keep the aliens from reading your thoughts, we're all in this mess together. And if we can't learn to get along, well, Canada's gonna have to build a wall to keep us out. Now, speaking of walls and keeping people out, it's time for me to make like a Trump supporter at a Whole Foods and get the hell out of here. But don't you worry, because coming up next is a man who knows more about walls than Pink Floyd. Give it up for the one, the only, Donald.
Thank you, Jimmy. You know, I always say if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. And let's face it, folks, this is probably my worst. But hey, you're all still here, so buckle up. Speaking of buckling up, did you hear about the Secret Service's latest blunder? Apparently, they released a report about their mission assurance inquiry into the Trump assassination attempt. More like mission assurance, am I right? These guys couldn't secure a paper bag, let alone the former president. So picture this. Trump's at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. It's hotter than Nancy Pelosi's face after her latest Botox injection, and 15,000 people are packed in tighter than AOC's Twitter followers in her echo chamber. The Secret Service is there, supposedly protecting Trump, but they're about as effective as a screen door on a submarine. Now, I'm not saying the Secret Service is incompetent, but if protecting the president was a porn movie, these guys would be the fluffer who can't get it up. They had more communication issues than a couple trying to decide where to eat on their anniversary. But wait, it gets better. The report says some agents had an unclear understanding of their duties. What does that even mean? It's the Secret Service. Your duty is in the name, it's a secret, and you're providing a service. It's not rocket science, people. Although, to be fair, if it was rocket science, at least NASA would be in charge, and they managed to get us to the moon with less computing power than a modern toaster. So these geniuses knew there was a suspicious person on the roof, but did they dispatch anyone to check it out? Nah, that would be too much like doing their job. Instead, they probably thought, hey, let's play a game of guess who's got the gun. It'll be fun. Spoiler alert, it wasn't fun for Corey Comparator, the poor bastard who ended up taking a bullet meant for Trump. Now, I'm not saying Trump is hard to miss. The man's got a target on his back bigger than Kim Kardashian's ass. But come on, Secret Service. You had one job. One job. It's like hiring a stripper for a bachelor party and she shows up in a burqa. Sure, she's there, but she's not exactly fulfilling her primary function, is she? The best part? The report concludes that July 13, 2024 was a failure for the Secret Service. No shit, Sherlock. What gave it away? The fact that the guy they were supposed to be protecting almost got his comb-over blown off? Or is it the part where they turned a political rally into a real-life game of Call of Duty? But don't worry, folks. The Secret Service is implementing changes. They're going to provide enhanced protection for Trump. What does that mean? Are they going to wrap him in bubble wrap? Give him a helmet with his name on it so he doesn't forget who he is? Maybe they'll just stick him in one of those hamster balls and roll him around everywhere. Actually, that might not be a bad idea. It would certainly make it harder for him to grab anyone by the pussy. They're also expanding the use of unmanned aerial systems. Because nothing says we've got this under control, like a bunch of drones buzzing around like mechanical mosquitoes on steroids. I can see it now. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? And let's not forget the improved radio communications. Because apparently in 2024, the concept of push-to-talk is still too complicated for some people. Maybe they should just use smoke signals. At least then, when shit hits the fan, they'll have an excuse for why everything's going up in smoke. But hey, at least they're trying, right? It's like watching a toddler try to use chopsticks. It's messy, it's ineffective, but damn it, you gotta admire the effort. And who knows? Maybe by the time the next election rolls around, they'll have figured out how to protect a president without turning it into a Three Stooges routine. Speaking of routines, I think it's time we bring out our next comedian. She's like a Southern belle with a putty mouth and a penchant for political incorrectness. Give it up for the one, the only Dixie.
Well, thank you kindly, Benji. I haven't been this excited since I found out my cousin's wedding was BYB, bring your own brother. Now let's dive into this political gumbo, shall we? Y'all know I've been following this election like a hound dog on a pork chop. And let me tell you, it's been wilder than a bucking bronco at a rodeo for teetotalers. These unexpected events shapen the narrative. It's like God decided to write a soap opera and cast all of Washington as the lead actors. First off, we had that assassination attempt on Trump in Butler. Now, I know what y'all are thinking. Dixie, how can you joke about such a thing? Well, honey, when life gives you lemons, you make a whiskey sour and laugh about it. Trump getting shot and still pumping his fist? That's more American than apple pie served on a bald eagle. The liberals were probably more upset he survived than anything else. Then we got Biden dropping out faster than a hot potato in a game of catch. Talk about timing. It's like he waited for the perfect moment to say, you know what? I think I left the oven on. 4 years ago, poor Kamala Harris got thrust into the spotlight quicker than a virgin at a brothel. And speaking of Harris, honey, when she started doing interviews, it was like watching a deer trying to tap dance on ice. Every time she opened her mouth, you could hear the collective groan of Democrats everywhere. My values haven't changed, she says. Well, sugar, neither has my underwear, but at least I'm willing to admit it needs changing. Now, let's talk about that Springfield, Ohio moment. Trump made a comment about pets and migrants that had... But you know what? Sometimes you gotta ruffle some feathers to get to the meat of the issue. And boy, did he serve up a platter of truth that day. Finally, we got the Teamsters giving Harris the cold shoulder. It's like they looked at her and said, sorry, honey, but we prefer our candidates like we prefer our trucks, able to carry a heavy load without breaking down. That snub hit the Democrats harder than a hangover after a night of moonshine and bad decisions. You know, folks, this election's been like a night out with the girls full of unexpected twists, questionable decisions, and moments that'll make you laugh, cry, and possibly throw up a little. But at the end of the day, we're all in this together whether we like it or not. So remember, when you head to those polls, vote like your mama's watching, with conviction, pride, and maybe a little bit of shame, depending on your choice. And if all else fails, just write in Jesus. He's the only one who can save us from this mess anyway. Well, folks, it's been a hoot and a holler, but I gotta skedaddle faster than a politician from a lie detector test. Y'all have been a wonderful audience, almost as wonderful as finding out your ex-husband's new wife is uglier than a mud fence. Remember, in politics and in life, it's better to be pissed off than pissed on, unless that's your thing, in which case, no judgment here, sugar. Good night and God bless America.